Have you ever heard a parent openly say, "This child is the golden child, and this one is the black sheep"? You rarely hear that, right? And the reason is simple. Openly admitting that would reveal poor parenting. But whether families admit it or not, these roles exist in many homes today. In some families, the dynamics are mild, but in others, they become intense enough to create a toxic environment. And when that happens, one person usually loses the most. The black sheep. They are often taken advantage of, treated unfairly, and rarely receive any sense of justice. In many cases, they don't even realize that a hidden game is being played until much later in life. This dynamic is often referred to as scapegoat abuse. In this video, I'm going to share unique strategies you may have never heard of that I learned from my own experience being placed in the black sheep role within my family. These strategies are not about harming anyone or seeking revenge. They are about protecting yourself, regaining clarity, and ultimately freeing yourself from this kind of abuse. Let's begin. Number 1. Stalling. Sometimes toxic family members pressure you to make decisions that can permanently shape your life. This could include pushing you to marry someone you are not interested in, pressuring you into a career path that does not align with your goals, or trying to rush you into commitments that mainly benefit them. In situations like this, one of the simplest and most effective strategies is what I call the lemmatai strategy. Lemmatai simply stands for "let me think about it." Interestingly, it even sounds similar to the word limit, because that is exactly what it does. It places a limit on their ability to control your decisions. The power of this response is that it immediately removes the pressure to give an answer they want. Instead of reacting emotionally or being forced into a quick decision, you create space for yourself to think clearly. That time allows you to ask an important question. Is this decision actually in my best interest or in theirs? Another advantage of this approach is that it weakens their influence. When you calmly step aside from the pressure they are applying, their emotional leverage begins to lose its power. And instead of saying a direct no, which can sometimes trigger more arguments or manipulation, you simply remain in the position of thinking about it. Over time, many of these requests lose momentum and eventually become irrelevant. The key principle here is simple. You should never sacrifice major life decisions for people who do not respect your interests. This strategy is especially useful when dealing with life-changing choices. Number 2. Be secretive. Toxic family systems often operate through information. In many cases, conversations about the black sheep are already happening behind closed doors. Decisions, judgments, and narratives may be formed without the person even being present. Because of this, it is only fair for the black sheep to begin protecting their own privacy as well. When the black sheep openly shares personal plans, achievements, relationships, or struggles, that information can easily become ammunition. Details about your life may be used to undermine your confidence, interfere with your plans, or create new narratives that portray you as irresponsible or unstable. Even positive news can sometimes trigger jealousy or attempts to sabotage progress. For example, imagine a young family member who is still financially dependent on their parents. As soon as they get their first job, the parents suddenly ask them to start paying half of the household rent. This may be presented as a lesson about responsibility, but in many cases, the deeper motivation is control. A healthier way to teach responsibility would be to ask the young adult to contribute a small, symbolic amount toward household expenses so they can develop the habit of managing bills. Charging them half the rent while they are still living in the family home often has a different effect. It quietly limits their ability to save money and build independence. At that point, the arrangement begins to resemble living with a roommate rather than living with a parent. This is especially questionable when the parents or other family members are in a much stronger financial position. In situations like this, information about your income, savings, or future plans can easily be used to tighten that control. Learning to limit what you share removes a powerful tool from the hands of manipulative individuals. Some people describe this as placing certain family members on an information diet. This does not require lying or deception. It simply means that not everyone deserves access to the details of your life. When toxic individuals know less about your goals and movements, they have fewer opportunities to interfere with them. Privacy becomes a form of strategic protection. This idea closely resembles the principle of guarding your intentions, described in Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Number 3. Exercise. Living within a toxic family environment can place enormous strain on mental health. Chronic criticism, manipulation, and emotional tension activate the body's stress response repeatedly. Exercise is one of the most reliable ways to counter this stress. Physical activity helps regulate cortisol levels, improves mood, and strengthens emotional resilience. It also produces endorphins, which are natural mood stabilizers. There are also social effects. People often form impressions based on physical presence and confidence. Someone who appears disciplined, energetic, and physically capable tends to be perceived more positively by others. This can weaken the effectiveness of smear campaigns designed to portray the black sheep as unstable or incapable. Strength can also serve as a psychological deterrent. In nature, predators often avoid animals that appear capable of defending themselves because injury carries risk. Research summarized by the American Psychological Association consistently shows that regular exercise significantly reduces stress and improves psychological well-being. Number 4. Dress well. In toxic families, reputation is a battlefield. Smear campaigns are a common tactic, used to isolate the black sheep and maintain the dominant narrative. The person who challenges the system is often labeled as difficult, unstable, or ungrateful. One powerful way to weaken these narratives is by managing your public presentation. Taking care of your grooming, dressing well, and presenting yourself with composure can influence how others interpret your character. This is not about vanity, it is about credibility. When someone appears organized, confident, and self-respecting, accusations that they are dysfunctional become less believable. Strong presentation also helps build connections outside the family system. Friends, mentors, colleagues, and supportive communities who judge you based on their own experience rather than family narratives. The importance of reputation management in social dynamics is frequently emphasized in Dr. Ramani Durvasula's work on narcissistic abuse, where she explains how narcissistic individuals rely heavily on controlling appearances and public perception. Number 5. Master emotional detachment. Toxic individuals often attempt to provoke emotional reactions. Insults, subtle criticisms, and accusations are designed to trigger anger, sadness, or frustration. When the black sheep reacts emotionally, the manipulator gains two advantages. First, they experience the satisfaction of seeing their target upset. Second, they can present the emotional reaction as evidence that the black sheep is unstable or aggressive. Refusing to provide that emotional reaction disrupts this dynamic. Calm responses, brief answers, and emotional neutrality deny the manipulator the reward they are seeking. Over time, repeated attempts to provoke reactions may even cause the manipulator to appear unreasonable in the eyes of others. This approach is similar to what many psychologists describe as the grey rock method. Number 6. Speak to relatives. The black sheep role often depends on isolation. When only the immediate family controls the narrative, the scapegoated individual has little opportunity to present their perspective. Confidentially speaking with trusted extended relatives, such as an uncle, aunt, or cousin, can sometimes challenge that isolation. These individuals may already have their own history with the dominant family member and may recognize familiar behavioral patterns. Sharing your experience calmly and privately allows alternative perspectives to circulate within the extended family network. This can weaken smear campaigns and reduce the effectiveness of attempts to control the narrative. The goal is not to recruit allies for conflict. It is simply to ensure that your voice exists beyond the narrow boundaries of the immediate family. Number 7. Understand the system. Perhaps the most important strategy is understanding the system itself. Many people spend years trying to solve individual conflicts within toxic families. They attempt to explain themselves better, behave more carefully, or prove their worth. Yet the conflicts continue. This happens because the problem is rarely just one disagreement. It is a structure. In many toxic families, the scapegoat role serves a purpose. By placing blame on one person, the rest of the system avoids confronting deeper problems. The dominant figure maintains authority, and the illusion of family stability remains intact. Once someone understands this structure, their strategy changes. The goal is no longer to fix the system from within. Instead, the focus shifts to reducing the system's influence and building independence outside of it. This may involve setting boundaries, limiting emotional investment, developing external relationships, and creating a life that does not depend on the family's approval. This broader perspective reflects the idea of individuation described in Carl Jung's psychological theory, which emphasizes the importance of developing one's identity independent of collective pressures.